have together. So before I will move to the agenda items, I will quickly share some of the housekeeping rules, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but still. So this meeting will be recording. I hope you're fine with that. This will be the way so we can share this recording to the people who registered but were not able to join us today. I would like to ask you to keep your microphones muted until you want to unmute it and share some comments and feedbacks and questions. And you have some rules for the breakouts and questions, but we will be repeating those. So I hope you reviewed what will be the setting for the breakout room later. Yes, and for the translation purpose, I would like to ask our speakers to like talk slowly so they will be able to deliver the interpretation. We will be taking the group picture at some moment. We will announce this in advance so that for the time I will ask to turn on your videos, but for now there's no need for that, whichever you prefer. And yes, so you will have time after each presentation to ask questions, share your comments, and we will talk about some rules while we go through. And thank you that so many you joined already. And from the registrations, we can see around like 80 different tax administration representatives are registered. So I wish ourselves to have a fruitful workshop. And I will now go ahead and invite our guest speaker, Claudia Vargas, head of tax administration and VAT division. And Claudia will share some of about the workshop itself and importance. And she kindly agreed to stay with us for the breakout rooms and support and facilitate the Spanish-speaking group. Thank you for that, Claudia. And over to you.
Thank you so much, Sophie, and good morning, good evening, and good afternoon for all of you, wherever you are at this moment. I am very glad and honored to welcome you all to this first session of a series of workshops developed to strengthen the forthcoming guide on digitalization and digital transformation strategy for developing countries that is being developed by the Forum on Tax Administration, or FTA, and supported by the Global Relations and Development in OECD. And just to give you a broad background, as we have, well, first of all, I'm very happy to see that we have at least registered more than 60 countries around the world, and we will see how many can join. This is I'm very happy to see this response. And to give you a broad background about the work and the Forum on Tax Administration, first of all, it gathers tax administrations from over 50 developed and emerging economies around the world and fosters cooperation, knowledge sharing, and also support for tax administrations in all important and priority areas. The work in the FTA is driven precisely by tax administrations focusing on their challenges and their priorities, and it covers a broad range of areas currently. Today, you will have the opportunity to listen and discuss about the topic, setting the high-level strategic vision, and your experiences and feedback will enrich this guide. In the Forum on Tax Administration, capacity building is one of our key priorities, along with the digital transformation and implementation of the global minimum tax, and also enhancing tax certainty. In the FTA, we have developed and offer a range of resources, reports, tools. Today, we'd like to highlight the digital transformation maturity model that administrations can use to determine to where they are, the different topics they may need to take into account in their digitalization and transformation journeys. And also we have a bilateral capacity building program at Tax Inspectors Without Borders to support tax administrations in their digitalization journey. We would also like to open this guide then for your input, insights, and lessons learned, which will be incorporated in the guide and enrich it with practical examples. It's very important um, not just to have a report, but also to have your concerns and your solutions to problems also included in this guide. The goal in all this work is to support tax administrations in linking their digital initiatives and creating a forward-looking strategy document to guide their transformation journey. So I welcome you all and wish you a very successful workshop. I'm happy to stay. And as Sophie said, I'm going to be leading the breakout in Spanish, which is nice to also have the opportunity to discuss these topics in Spanish. Thank you so much. Sophie, over to you.
Thank you so much, Claudia. And yeah, we now will be moving to the agenda items. And since we have the first chapter of the guide about setting the high-level vision, we wanted to start with talking about the vision which was developed by the FTA member tax administrations. And our first speaker, keynote speaker, Marikan Holter, will join us, senior advisor from Norwegian Tax Administration. She's part of this group of TA Tax Administration 3.0, and also Norway itself is one of the Norwegian Tax Administration is one of the biggest contributor to this group. So Marikan will guide us through how this vision was created and what are some updates over this 5 years since the vision created, and what are some updates so far. Marikan, over to you.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for that introduction. And yeah, I'm working as a senior advisor in the international relations team in the Norwegian Tax Administration, but I also then have the privilege to work very closely with the Tax Administration 3.0, and I have done that for not 5 years, but I think it's counting 4 now. It's great to see so many of you. I see some familiar faces, but definitely not all of them are familiar to me. And I think it's a great idea from the FTA and the Global Relations Program to have these joint workshops that you are now starting with. So today I'm going to speak about the story behind and the work done and the potential that we see in what we call Tax Administration 3.0. So we can just move to the next slide, Sophie, it's good. I don't know if all of you have heard about Tax Administration 3.0. Do we have the next slide? Where does this...
I think we have some technical issues with the presentation.
Yeah,
it will be delivered soon.
So, I mean, that's not a very catchy name, but it does come from a place, and it describes the digital evolution that tax administrations are going through. And if you had the slide, I could kind of just visualize it, but do you want me to wait, Sophie?
Yes, maybe. Natalie, can you update us so we can have a presentation? It's coming.
Yeah. So it's the next slide there. Yeah, there it is. So it describes the digital evolution that tax administrations are going through. Each tax administration has its independent journey, but there are some common traits on the various stages. So here we have tried to illustrate the tax administration with this black and white logo, which is the Norwegian logo. But the first version to the left here of tax administration refers to a situation with bilateral relationships with taxpayers. In the start, on paper, later on, through more or less digitized paper solutions. The next version, 2.0, is more enhanced, but it's still a sequential process of taxation. Many of us are here today involving third parties and it includes in the identification, assessment, verification, collection, and dispute processes. In the third version, compliance by design is the key word. Taxation is moving from being a downstream activity into more real-time scenarios, and moving from standalone activity into being integrated in the natural systems of the taxpayer. Next slide, please. So where did it all start? Do you have the next slide? It all started at a plenary in Santiago back in 2019, where the commissioners were present and they discussed various aspects of digital transformation and how it affected their business and operations. Okay. Yeah. So this is from the statement of outcome there, where the commissioners agreed to work together on a new framework, Tax Administration 2030, now called 3.0, that would set out a direction for digital transformation, but also look into essential technological and organizational building blocks. We have the next slide, please. The result came in the form of a report in December 2020. And it includes a shared vision, often referred to as tax just happens. This to illustrate a situation of real-time and seamless taxation processes. It is 6 key building blocks that are described in the report. And when we refer to Tax Administration 3.0, it is then nowadays both about the concept illustrated in the report and how countries approach this journey individually, but it is also a portfolio of projects that tax administrations are working on collectively. Can we move to the next slide, please? So here are the 6 building blocks essential for digital transformation. First, we have digital identity. I mean, who is the taxpayer? A key in all taxation processes, be it personal or business taxpayers. Second is on tax rules. How do we re-engineer the rules and legislative process to better support digitalization? And number 3 is about the taxpayer touchpoints. We're all talking about the ecosystem or the natural system around the taxpayer, but who are they? What are concrete cases tax administrations are pursuing? How do we make it happen? And how do commissioners explain what this means to their ministries? And then we have the new skill sets building block. What is required of our future workforce? And on data management, how do we exploit the power of data management and emerging technologies? All of these topics require us to pivot our skill space. And last but not least is on governance. How do we govern ecosystems domestically? What role is there for tax administration in a Tax Administration 3.0 scenario? Looking at these building blocks in 2025, as defined by the FDA members in 2020, they are surprisingly relevant, despite the speed of development around us. If you look at trends and challenges for tax administrations on this transformation journey, it pretty much boils down to how successful we are on these 6 topics. The building blocks are also the basis for our common FDA journey and the projects we have taken on. Next slide, please. So since the Tax Administration 3.0 was published at the 2020 plenary, we first focused on our work in 3 areas. One was on creating assessment tools to help us enhance our digital transformation strategies and outputs. We now have the maturity model, as you probably are familiar with, and we have the web-based inventory of tax technologies. Second, we did some work to build knowledge of specific areas on digital identity, on e-invoicing, on interconnected systems. All of these are potential enablers of digital transformation. And last but not least, we established and continue to share knowledge on all aspects of digital transformation. Next slide, please. So then, a couple of years ago, FDA members were asked to come up with ideas to what could become collaborative projects. Given that FDA members may have different priorities, it is important that we choose to work on collectively meet some criteria. And 4 criteria were decided. First of all, there has to be a clear international added value in that that is to kind of say that, I mean, if this is something you can do alone as a nation, or you can do it with your neighbor, or maybe 3 or 4 of you, it's not necessarily a tax administration 3.0 project. It has to be kind of international added value for more than very few countries. Number 2 was that it had to be aligned with the vision of tax administration 3.0. Number 3, that projects should have a high potential impact, and also number 4, a high likelihood of being successful. Actually, that we can demonstrate some results along the way and not wait many years before something is mature. So, then we can move over to the projects. If you go further on the slides. So we started out with 4 projects. We have completed 1, number C here, and we have added 2 more, X and Y. The first 2 projects are about developing new solutions for information exchange. Project A is automating exchange of information between tax administrations. Today, information exchange between tax administrations is often manual and periodic. This leads to delays, higher compliance costs, and a greater risk of errors. The TA 3.0 vision aims to change that, enabling machine-to-machine data exchange closer to the actual taxable event. This project explores how to make that vision a reality, starting with automating the exchange of tax residents' information. A working model has already been built and successfully tested in a sandbox environment by the project team, laying the groundwork for broader use cases. Project B, automating exchange between taxpayers and third parties across border. A major challenge in cross-border data exchange is the lack of interoperability between national digital ID systems. Project B addresses this by designing a solution architecture based on what we call self-sovereign identity and verifiable credential. This will enable tax administrations and businesses to agree on taxpayer identities accurately and almost in real time, making cross-border cooperation much more efficient. Project C, not going to say so much because I know you will hear about that later, but that is how do we go from vision to strategy, and there is a result of that project, which is a report with a lot of recommendations and tips for tax administrations, and Sophie will talk about it later, I think. So moving on to Project D, which is about trustworthy use of AI in tax administration. It focuses on ensuring AI is used responsibly and in line with OECD principles. In 2025, the team tested a practical framework for deploying AI within tax administrations. Alongside this, a knowledge-sharing stream was launched to exchange best practices and case studies among FDA members. And then we have the project X, let me see, project X, seamless taxation from SME perspective. I think I have some, yeah, sorry, taxpayer. Then we have the taxpayer ecosystem from an SME perspective, which is sponsored there by the Netherlands. And that is, taxpayer ecosystems are a recurring theme in TA 3.0, but often discussed in very abstract terms. This project brings the concept down to earth by mapping the ecosystem from the perspective of small and medium-sized enterprises. In 2025, the team identified key actors and their roles. And lastly, there is also a pretty new project sponsored by Sweden that is called Rule as Code. Rule as code is a key part of modern tax rule management. This project has reviewed different national approaches and produced an internal report on the challenges involved. A next possible step is to experiment with creating multilateral code, exploring whether shared machine-readable rules can support automated compliance and reduce administrative burdens and ensure consistent application of tax law. Next slide, please. So the solutions we are developing here in project A and B, which are kind of solution projects. The other are more projects on knowledge sharing and developing knowledge. But these are projects that have a real potential to transform how tax administrations, businesses, and taxpayers interact across a wide range of use cases. So here is just kind of some examples of what that could mean in practice. For the first, by automating the complex manual processes involved in cross-border data exchange, we can significantly reduce the risk of mistakes. Automation also means less need for manual handling, freeing up time and resources for both tax officials and taxpayers. When taxpayers then identification and data exchange happen closer to the taxable event, administrative workflows become smoother and also more responsive. Better use of data, with stronger confidence in taxpayer identity, tax administration can make better use of third-party data, like pre-filling income information in tax returns. That's good news for taxpayers and helps reduce underreporting and errors as well. It also opens the door for new policy possibilities. More reliable identification and user-friendly digital credentials open the door to innovative approaches like tailored reporting, frameworks, or pay-as-you-earn models for income earned on digital platforms. So this is all of these projects are now being going to be put to the plenary. All of them have some concrete examples of what they want to do next over the next year, and awaiting kind of an endorsement from the commissioners there. But I mean, I think so far we have seen a very, very exciting and interest with commissioners and also in the policy space. So this is very, very interesting work. And I feel privileged to be a very small part as part of the Norwegian team on this. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Marikan. It was good to hear that how far tax administration 3.0 region went from its development phase, and now we have some concrete projects in a different field working on. Maybe we can pause here and see if anyone has any comments or feedback, but also you will have some time in the breakout rooms to talk about this vision, but there's a moment if you have some questions with before now, and yeah. And also you're encouraged to post some questions in the chat if you have one. I don't see any comments in the chat or any hands for now. And yeah, maybe it's also the good time to take some moment and take a group picture together. So that's why I want to ask those of you who wants to be included in the group photo, turn on your cameras. So we will pause and take a picture together. And this, I would like to also mention, this will be posted on LinkedIn. If you feel comfortable to be part of this post, please turn on your cameras. If not, you're free to keep your cameras off.
We will need more than one photo.
Yes. So I'll just wait from my team members to confirm that it's taken, and then continue with the presentation. Meantime, I'll start to share the presentation. Can you see the presentation? Can someone
We can see your presenter mode, not the main screen.
Okay, give me 1 second then.
Yeah, you can click the display settings and change the.
Okay, yep.
Yep, exactly. Swap the presenter view. Yep.
Yep.
Perfect.
So I think there was enough time for the picture, and we have smiley happy picture together. So I can continue with the presentation, which is kind of a continuation of what American was talking about, and it was good that we have first hear from American how tax administrations from FTA countries develop this vision. What we wanted with this first chapter, which is the forthcoming publication from the OECD, we wanted to give some more details, the step-by-step guide, how the vision can be developed, and this will be the bridge from tax administration, digitalization, and digital transformation visions and strategy. So I will talk about a little bit the book itself, which will be published next at the end of next year, and all the chapters will be separate workshops for that. And we would like to invite you to send us some inputs, some case studies, lessons learned from your side. This is why we wanted to open this upcoming report, the guide we call them. So it will be the handbook for tax administrations to use when they're developing digitalization or digital transformation strategy. So more about the content itself, you can see from the slide that the first one um, we will be presenting today is setting the high-level strategic vision, and then each chapter will follow the logical rule how the strategy can be developed. And the next workshop, so we will talk about more about critical role of leadership, how the senior management buy-in can be developed, and how to work with some budget holders to like start identifying what are the needs, and after the vision goes through to other stages. And we will talk about more about compliance issues and burdens that are the rationale for the strategy itself, and understanding the digitalization landscape, also how to actually write and develop the strategy, then some of the considerations for implementing the strategy, and we will end up with effective project and change management. So this is kind of the content before moving the first chapter. The guide structure will be developed in a way to explain the roadmap for strategic development. And you see as a first layer, the having the vision is first more important thing, like critical importance, and then leadership. And then for the rationale, we wanted to highlight that the rationale for the strategy is not digitalization itself, because it's compliance issues and burdens we are trying to solve with this digitalization strategy. And this is why we will talk about more about how to identify compliance issues and administrative burdens. And then knowing what are the compliance issues around different tax administration functions. It could be like more audits, automated digital services, or many different things can be different from different tax administrations. We will see. So this is the first step to kind of identify, and then we recommend in this book to do targeted digital landscape assessment after knowing what are some compliance issues and burdens. And this targeted digital landscape analysis is supporting this, creating this rationale for digitalization or digital transformation strategy. And together, this kind of research, we call it like to sense of what are the issues and what are the digital tools supporting us to create the digital transformation strategy, which is informed. So they together create the rationale for the strategy itself. And then later stages, it comes with the enablers, the questions like we need more different governance framework, different rules, or existing rules are working. Some different mandates, new mandates, or some existing mandates could be changed. And then from rationale, the goals and objectives for digitalization and digital transformation strategy can be brainstormed. And after that, also, it's super important to prioritize things because digitalization and digital transformation strategies are super ambitious. Most of the cases we see from many tax administrations, and then it should be like listed down and grouped together what could be done in a short term, medium term, or long term, and then also like funding from the outset is very very important to like move things forward and to prioritize projects that are feasible. So this will be the structure of the guide, and we will unlock each of the building blocks, and you will receive the notes similar to the notes which we send for vision. So we will add some inputs from your side and case studies in the report, and it will be like more lively document after that. I will not stop here for digital transformation vision from FTA countries because this was something American was talking about, but to connect this to the first chapter of the book. In this book, we are giving this vision as an example that's already been developed by FTA countries collectively, and this is the collaborative work tax administrations been working on, and this is very helpful. And the outcomes of this vision and the later on the stages and the projects itself, which been developed already, help tax administrations to reduce compliance burdens and also remove some manual processes and reduce errors. And everything is the key idea of this vision is seamless taxation, which happens with real-time data sharing from taxpayers' natural system. So this is the vision that we can take as an inspiration, high-level ambition vision. But we would like to know that sometimes before this vision, for different tax administrations, there might be some other strategies who will support this vision to happen. Before that, some tax administrations are still having the processes. Those should be digitalized, and maybe they prefer to have digitalization strategy first and to see what are some tax administration processes that could be automated first before we are ready to move forward and to make this seamless taxation happen. That's why we call this guide digitalization and digital transformation strategy, both, because it's like how things are moving forward. Even in some cases, tax administration might have digital transformation strategy, but they still need some processes digital. So they still might have some projects and program going on, aiming to create more digitalization of processes than digital transformation itself. And one of the next things we will discuss in the vision, there are some key definitions from TA 3.0 vision, and we also received some feedback about this from one of the tax administration to speak about more on this difference and explain the things. So from this vision, digitalization is converting manual or paper record. This is something that creates process into digital format, and it can be single like projects, programs, anything, but it's like more using digital technology to automate processes. And for digital transformation that been discussed and agreed by FTA members, this is integrating digitalized processes that goes beyond this simple digitalization, but also involves thinking and transforming more than simple making something digital. If we can talk about some concrete examples, for example, creating some new invoicing system inside tax administration. So we have to think about other stakeholders. We have to think about the culture and the skill sets we need to deliver some changes and how this will affect the in like staff in the tax administration, but also taxpayer side. Are they having the well-prepared programs and stuff to support this change? So this is like more think about the culture, and digital transformation is changing the culture. And under this, the difference we're talking about between digitalization and digital transformation is changing the culture and looking through the many different building blocks, like it was suggested from the TA 3.0 vision. So it's not only implementing digital tools, but also like skill sets, data management, governance rules, and many different things together. So this is the thinking about what is changing. And also there's some terms about digital ecosystems. In this new vision, we see taxpayer systems in a center, not tax administration system only. So every taxpayer natural systems is the one who are in the center. So other systems are connected and they can talk. And so there's a lot of real data sharing happens. So every contributor, every stakeholder has their own part and has the control over their part. And this is how the seamless taxation happens. So those are some of the key definitions I would like to highlight here when we talk about difference between digitalization and digital transformation strategy vision. And of course, there is some interconnections, which I kind of partially talked about. And there is movement from digitalization to digital transformation. We see it is incremental, so it's not happening uh, like at once. It should be done like analyzing what is the short term, what is the medium term, and long term horizon for this change. And also, I can add to the TA 3.0 work that some of the tax administrations under FTA, they started to visualize these ecosystems and see how these ecosystems looks like. And we will be inviting some of the representatives from tax administrations who are already implementing these changes. And we saw some country examples where tax administrations went outside the internal setting and they invited some private or think tank organizations, and they start looking how this ecosystems looks like for them. What are some systems that can affect tax events? And also they want to collect some of the outside feedback. So we'll be inviting those tax representatives so we can hear from them how they think about to build these ecosystems inside, and also hear from other stakeholders like taxpayers and the private providers to see how this ecosystem could work in the future. And in the book, in the guide, you will see some characteristics, how the ecosystem looks like, and what are some key stakeholders and shareholders when we are building this ecosystem. So to make it possible to have this something closer to seamless taxation and start moving forward to this ambition plan. And here I would encourage you to think about what are some main drivers for structural reforms in tax administrations. But in the next slide, I will talk about them. But you can post in the chat or and this is obvious that one of them could be digitalization. Um, uh, Yes, this is some of the results from the ISORA and ET survey, which will be completed by 107 tax administrations. So we see that 80% of tax administrations from 107 countries have a digital transformation strategy already. And another survey from ISORA, which is completed from less tax administrations around 58. They say like one of the first drivers that drive their structural changes and the reforms are efficiency gain as a first place, and then digitalization, also changes in the government policy, new responsibility, and some international requirements. So this is something that speaks about why having the strategy is important. And moving with that, moving from that, why this is important to have the vision as a first place. It's maybe it's better to like think about what happens without vision. And we can, so you will see this in the guide that we suggest there are some key considerations we can think about, but there might be more, of course. And we think without digitalization and digital transformation, what we saw with working with tax administrations in different settings and different capacity buildings. So without the vision, there is opposition for change, and this is not happening for tax administrations only, but for other stakeholders among taxpayers. If we do not have certain vision for the future, it is less and less likely so we can connect with the stakeholders and having them on board. And also additional costs and burdens might appear when there's no vision and separate projects are working separately in a different setting. Another difficulties is also like funding, the priorities, to talk to the donors, talk to the even in internal like ministries, to talk to the budget holders without having the clear vision for digitalization or digital transformation. Choosing the priorities between very important and significant projects. There might be other projects than like digitalization, also very important, but not having the vision for this could be difficult to prioritize and choose the priorities for each of them for the organization. Lack of clarity of the direction of travel, which may lead wasted investment and lack of sustained engagement. And how the strategic vision helps. We can tell that it helps to develop, think about the horizons of changes, the short term, medium term, and long term. And also it can help to set the journey for like highly complex, costly, and technical challenges, which comes with the digital transformation. And we know this is not this is expensive project sometimes, and we need the vision for that to see and to share with stakeholders how this gonna work in a long term. A clearly articulated vision also helps condition for later agreement and funding and timeliness and outcomes. And once we are clear about outcomes, there's more motivation and ownership of the programs and projects. And also it helps to accelerate change by helping internal and external stakeholders to be on board. And it is super important, like I mentioned, to have key stakeholders on board, because it's not something tax administration by themselves can deliver. This is something for everyone's benefit, and this is the shared project. So we need stakeholders engaged from the outset to knowing they are happy with these changes and they are ready for these changes, which is most important. And with this idea, like having to know what is digital transformation and digitalization a difference and how it helps, I would like to talk about more how to develop the high-level vision. And we suggest in the guide as well what could be some of the materials, relevant materials, and research to look at when tax administration leadership sit down and start brainstorming for the vision. So we suggest there are some considerations, but there could be more depending on the tax administration setting and their own experience, what they have around them. Review of performance metrics. It could be for tax administration key functions, but also many other like high-level strategic performance metrics. Also surveys from different, like including taxpayers surveys or stakeholder surveys, and key challenges regarding compliance and burdens, which is the key important to see what are the challenges we are facing, what are the problems we are solving with this digitalization strategy. An overview of reforms being undertaken and considered, not only like internal reforms, but also some government and agency reforms, because many tax administration are including the third-party data from different agencies, and the changes from their side, their digitalization changes could affect our digitalization as well. So it is very important to see what are some changes the tax administration can benefit from, and what are some reforms and results outside the tax administration, but in a government level, and also an overview of key changes in how taxpayers use digital tools. And this is not only like the digital tools from tax administration, but also it could be some observation as depending like how tax administration use mobile applications. If one of our project is to like implement something for mobile users, and if there might be some regional perspective also overlooked. Maybe we have some internet connection in some regions. So is how can we observe taxpayers are ready for those changes? So it can be some observations from other like government setting as well, but it could be useful for us to take a look and see if we are implementing something, how taxpayers are ready for these new tools, and what are their preference for communication. They prefer emailing, they prefer their own like maybe they prefer chatbots or everything. So this is the collective observation how taxpayers are communicating with us, and assessment of strengths and weaknesses. And there is many ready tools and templates you can use. There is simple tool SWOT analysis. I'm sure most of the tax administrations are aware and using this template to kind of take a look what are some strengths and opportunities that we can use while we're working on a strategy and developing the vision. And also, one of the suggestion is obviously digital transformation maturity model and TED analysis. Those are already used many tax administrations. Digital transformation maturity model is created by the FTA members, and it follows closely to the TA 3.0 building blocks. But there is also TED analysis from IMF, which goes beyond this like digitalization, but also like includes other key functions from tax administrations. And there is some many other tools, useful tools developed by some international organizations or some private could be also helpful for the brainstorming about the vision and these building blocks, and knowing what are some weaknesses for tax administrations helps to like brainstorm about the vision itself. And these are good source to start communicating and start discussion with internally organization. I know Wigert, next speaker, will talk about this more like from his experience using these tools. And the review of global trends, and and after my next slide, I will talk about more some resources and how you can see some global trends and some of the resources OECD providing some surveys that could be useful when you're when tax administration is brainstorming about their vision. One of such tool is inventory of tax technology initiatives, which is the survey already completed by tax administrations from around the world, and we have 107 responses. So you can see, you can follow the link and you'll see this data is public and shared, and you can go and check maybe some individual tax administrations, they are using, the fellow tax administrations are using different tools to in their processes, or there might be some regional perspectives. And we also published a report to which covers the highlights from this survey, and you can have a look. And there are some numbers and figures from this report. Nearly 80% of tax administrations developed a strategy, as I mentioned already, and more tax administrations, and you can see the numbers in a report using the third-party systems. And many taxpayers enjoy a seamless experience through full field of tax returns, and it's getting more popular among tax administrations to use those data they have from third parties that provide more like pre-filled tax returns. And we saw that artificial intelligence now is being used by more than 70% of tax administrations. They were surveyed, and many tax administrations have started identifying and mapping the skills required for the digital transformation or digitalization. So all those information you will find in the report, and you can go and check this data. And this is something we are working on with our partners from international organizations and some regional organizations. So there are our partners on the slide. And another source could be helpful for brainstorming the digital transformation or digitalization vision is the Tax Administration 3.0 publication, but this is something developed after the vision, from vision to strategy. We call it Project C, and this publication is more about giving some recommendations to the commissioners, to the leadership, how they can move from this vision to practical implementation. And in this resource, you will find many interesting videos from different tax administration representatives. They recorded the videos, case studies, their own country experiences. And in some videos, you will see how they see ecosystem and some of the work they already started. Some of the tax administration started the work, as I mentioned, to kind of visualize this ecosystem. And you'll see many interesting videos and case studies attached to this publication. And another thing I already mentioned is tax administration, digitalization, and digital transformation initiatives. This is from the survey. And in this publication, you will see highlights from the survey data, how tax administrations are using the tools and what tools are used and so on. And the forthcoming publication, another useful resource, I would say, is the Tax Administration Series 2025. And OECD published this since 2004. And this year we will have 10 years data, and it will be a separate chapter on the using AI in tax administration, some of the trends. And here you will also find some good case studies from many different countries, many different tax administrations, and could be useful for what are some reforms and some of the digitalization projects they completed or they are working on. Moving from the resources can be useful for digital transformation and digitalization vision. Um, we we would like to talk about more who should be involved, and one of the key things we are recommending in the guide is it should be led by commissioner or senior management, because when we are talking about having stakeholders on board, it's very important to for everyone to see the commissioner is committed and senior management team is heavily involved, and they're the one who are opening these workshops and brainstorming sessions, and the visions coming from them. So they're committed to these changes. And yeah, it's one of the recommendation is also to involve a range of internal and external stakeholders from the outset, not wait after like a vision is developed and the certain stages, but they have to be part of this from the outset. It's very important. And also focus on short, medium term, and long term timeframes is super helpful to kind of see what are the things can be done in front and what are the things can be done later. And also have asset outcomes. It's important to have the vision document. Maybe it's a concept or maybe it's a part of the strategy, but something written that the whole tax administration, internal stakeholders and outside organization, of course, are seeing this is written and they're committed to this vision. And this is part of the strategy, of course. Um, and for the key stakeholders who should be involved, this picture is from the previous report I mentioned, from vision to strategy, but it's a good illustration how the stakeholders can be grouped, whole of the government, service providers, taxpayers, representatives, or third parties. But in the guide, you will find some definitions and roles, because sometimes some of the stakeholders are missed. For example, if we talk about frontline employees, they're also equally important because they have sense of taxpayers, uh, business processes going on, also some legal teams. The digitalization project comes with big changes, and having our legal advisors from the outset involved, it's helpful because some of the legal changes, all of you are aware, might take a long time. And also we have here separated operational managers, middle management, because they have different roles. And in the guide, you will see different roles for them. Middle management are more like a bridge between operational and senior leadership. So having them equally represented is important because operational managers might have better ideas about the complaints issues because they work different operations and different business processes. And IT and technology teams, I didn't mention them because they are one of the key stakeholders, but sometimes it's misunderstanding that only like IT people or people from analytics or other like key departments can be involved, but it's not. It's like whole organization changes. So we recommend everybody. The role for all stakeholders should be identified from the outset, and then they can be involved from the outset. For the external stakeholders, taxpayers, government entities, tax agents, software developers, they have to be informed and involved from the outset. And also we provide some roles, what are their roles, and mm, um, so how can we start communication with each of the stakeholder groups. Um, and moving towards the how can we communicate, we suggest there's many ways, bilateral communication with different stakeholder groups, but also we suggest one of the suggestion we have in the guide is to plan stakeholder workshops, and this is something that could be led by commissioner and senior management as well. So we listed down some of the questions could be useful. Of course, there's many more questions, but there's some key considerations, and these questions are like. For example, are there any areas so we can make a significant difference in a short term and to reduce the burdens and support voluntary compliance? And for the medium term, what are some um, changes or some better use of data or interconnections within taxpayer data ecosystem to further enhance compliance burdens and issues. So all these questions are very relevant to see what are some immediate weaknesses that we can address, or what are something that could wait and be developed later stages. And then another questions for long-term strategy thinking is like what is the vision and how we see tax systems as a whole operating to achieve seamless taxation and to reduce burdens for taxpayers and for each of the part of this group, different stakeholders, and how best we can refine a digitalization and digital transformation vision for different time horizons. And again, the key budget holders who are funding our ambition visions are should be invited for the workshop, the ministries from the beginning, and also some other budget holders, depending there's certain circumstances of different tax administrations. Those are the questions we invite you to discuss in the breakout rooms, and we will give some rules while we move when we move to the breakout rooms. So we will have an opportunity to think about and discuss these questions, but also bring your own questions if you'd like to. And for the next steps, so we will talk about leadership buy-in and communicating the vision. And you are very welcome to send us some inputs to the email, which is FTA generic email FTA OECD.org, and you can send us your examples, like your thoughts, comments on the note, but also some case studies you think it's useful to be included in the book, so other tax administrations will learn from your examples. I would like to finish my presentation now. And before I will invite some of the case studies we have for you to be presented today, I will pause here and see if you have any questions, comments, and I will take a look if there is any comments in the chat. Yes, you will have the presentations. The first question. We will send all the presentations, and our speakers kindly confirm that we can share those presentations. So we will do follow up after this meeting. So for the survey answers, we are sending the surveys. This is two different surveys, ISORA survey and ET survey we call. So we are sending this to tax administrations, and then they have contact persons, and they reply. They complete the survey. So if you check your contact, maybe inside the tax administration, or I don't know if you are asking about ET or ISORA, but if you can. Oh, I see Wigard already replied to this. Thank you, Wigard. Yeah, this is correct. We have 107 for ET, and for ISORA it's different number. Yeah. Anything else? So yeah, I don't see any other comments or questions at the moment. Yes. So with that, I would like to welcome Wegard Holmerdal to present the case study and also his own experience from previous capacity building works, because he maybe most of you know him. He was doing a lot of work with FTA, and Wigert, I would like to listen to hear from you, and thank you for joining us today. Over to you.
Thank you, Sophie. Very kind of you. And I just need to get to the right screen. Here we go. So thanks a lot for allowing me to share a few thoughts on this. And I realized that I'm probably in a room with a lot of specialists, and I'm more of a generalist, but I appreciate that even generalist input can be useful. And I believe that we already now agree that having a high-level strategic vision is a mandatory step. Without that, we cannot really be successful in digitalization or digital transformation. I do have to emphasize that I'm not speaking on behalf of the Norwegian Tax Administration. I'm speaking on behalf of myself. And I also want to say thanks to Sophie and the FTA team for the good work on the background note. And to start with, I want to emphasize a couple of points from that note. First, the importance of basing the vision work on a solid foundation. And this includes having a good overview of the current situation. I strongly believe that before you can describe where you want to go, you must have a clear understanding of where you are. And as Sophie mentioned, the digital transformation maturity model, grounded in the TA 3.0 vision and organized around those 6 building blocks, is designed for just this. And we have seen the DTMM work well for tax administrations with less than 100 employees and tax administrations with more than 100,000 employees. So I believe that that tool would be relevant for everyone present in the meeting. Furthermore, during my time in the FTA Secretariat, I received feedback from a range of administrations about the value of DTMM self-assessment. And I want to underline here that the end result, the self-assessed description of the administration's digital maturity, is important, but just as important is the process of reaching that result. When managers and experts from all parts of the administration work together and learn from each other about the administration's strengths and weaknesses in each of the areas that are represented by the 6 TA3O building blocks, they are much better equipped to co-create the vision for where they want to get to. So I highly recommend a broad and inclusive process for DTMM assessment. The second point from the note that I want to emphasize is that creating the vision has to be championed by top management. It's not enough for top management to simply support the vision. They have to be the advocates for it. And the administration needs to seek buy-in from the Ministry of Finance and the Parliament. One of my favorite examples in this context or in this regard is New Zealand. It's the example is a few years old by now, but they shared how the tax administration secured support from both government and opposition in Parliament for their business transformation vision. And this ensured that they had financial backing for the transformation program across changing governments, which I think is a critical factor for long-term success. And this brings me to my third point. And I might be kicking in an open door here, but I want to remind us all that a vision for digital transformation or digitalization is much more comprehensive than a vision for IT development itself. This is about business transformation, which encompasses IT, organization change, process redesign, and more. And with this broader perspective, digital transformation is not a technical upgrade. It is a fundamental shift in how the tax administration delivers on its mandate. To some extent, this is also true for a digitalization vision. The illustration that I have chosen here is from Norway, so it's not necessarily easily recognizable, but the blue circle represents the Norwegian Tax Administration, and then we have businesses, we have law enforcement, we have transport, we have the global picture, we have individuals and individual businesses, we have social services, and they are all part of the business transformation And if they are not all part of it, I don't think you'll succeed. So I believe that whole of government and even whole of society thinking is fundamental to successful digital transformation. And this has to be considered when creating the strategic vision, which again is why Sophie and the team have focused so much on stakeholders when working on the vision, this chapter. And finally, I want to underline the importance of aligning the strategic vision for digitalization or digital transformation with the overall mandate and strategy for the tax administration. Technology is only one element that contributes to the administration's mandated purpose. And therefore, the vision needs to clearly articulate how digitalization or digital transformation supports the broader strategic objectives of the organization. And this time I've chosen to illustrate it with an image of the Norwegian Tax Administration strategy. And it works well for me because, as you may be able to see, although the writing is a bit small, that several elements of this strategy are directly linked to a process of digitalization and digital transformation. In closing, and as preparation for the breakout discussions, and also after this workshop, I encourage us all to reflect on first how each administration can use the digital transformation maturity model to establish a clear starting point or intermediate starting point and a way to measure your own success. I know several administrations that have a routine on reassessing themselves based on the DTMM every few years to measure their own progress. I think that is quite brilliant. And secondly, how can you ensure that your vision is both comprehensive, business driven, and aligned with your mandate, the tax administration mandate? And finally, how can your administration's leadership ensure successful and sustainable implementation of the vision? I'm looking forward to hearing experiences and insights in the breakout groups. And thanks for your time. And back to you, Sophie.
Thank you so much, Rigard. And I see the question to everyone, and I think I will start. So since I used some AI to translate this into English, I will respond if I understood correctly the question, which is in Spanish. The question is about how can we stay committed and what could be some recommendations when the leadership changes quite frequently, and what could be some recommendations. So I will respond. I don't know if this is question to me or to you, but you can also respond regarding your own version. So I would say for this, when the leadership changes is happening quite a lot, and this is not new. Many tax administrations are experiencing this, and so some of the suggestions, and we will have the second workshop on critical role of leadership, and we are talking about some changes in this chapter as well. Is like to keep it to have more like long-term vision than short-term. So in a long-term vision, so I think it is also something my personal opinion from my previous work from tax administration. So stay committed to the vision and have some delegation to different units and groups of stakeholders, but not only the leadership. So have some good delegation can be helpful, and also the shared vision and some long-term outcomes. So this could be not rely on persons, the individuals, but also the systems. So I think this could be helpful to kind of avoid frequent changes and shifting in priorities. So this is something I think. I don't know, Vigard, if you want to add something to this, if this question was for you.
Sorry, it looks like I'm still sharing my screen, and that was not my purpose.
No,
So
you're
I'm
not
trying to
sharing
figure out.
anymore.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, that confused me a bit, so I had a hard time following your question. Could you please repeat it?
So question is, what could be some recommendations when we, at the tax administration, we have frequent changes in leadership? What could be some?
Oh yes, my goodness. That is such a challenge. And I still believe that the anchoring, the thinking of this as a whole of government so that you get buy-in not only from the leadership in the tax administration, but also buy-in from other public institutions like social services, statistics bureau, and others that see the benefit of this so that they can be co-champions alongside with the tax administration in talking with the Ministry of Finance, in talking with the Parliament about funding, because obviously, if you have a Commissioner General who supports this and then gets a new job, it is going to be a very difficult transition. But the broader the vision has been adopted across the government and across the society, the better chance you have of moving forward even after such changes.
Yes, absolutely. We need more. That's why having stakeholders involved and co-own this process is very important. So this could be the shared vision, not the vision from senior management or some other people and group, but also like the other stakeholders as well. Thank you so much, Vegard. And I would like to invite now our dear guests from Seychelles, Nisa and Julian. And I can tell that they have very interesting story to share. They already developed the digital transformation vision and went through those processes, what we are talking about, and have some interesting outcomes to share. Nisa, over to you.
Okay, greetings. I will just share my screen real quick before I begin. Come on now. Yeah. Is that okay? Can everyone see my screen?
Yes, I can see at least. Yeah,
Okay,
there's some
so hi
reactions too.
everyone. Yeah. My name is Nisa Joseph. I am the Senior Corporate Planning and Research Officer for the Seychelles Revenue Commission, and I am also the chairperson for our transformation program. I have with me Mr. Julian Shetty, who is our principal analyst developer. And on both of our behalf, I can say that it is an immense pleasure to be able to share our journey with everyone today because we are always so happy and proud to talk about the transformation program of SRC. So I will go briefly to give an overview of the transformation program itself, how the strategy was designed and implemented, and then I will hand over to my tech person, my IT expert, who will give a bit more on the specificities of the technological developments in SRC. So we are from Seychelles, as stated. We are a very small island nation of the east coast of Africa. I'm probably sure many of you have not heard of us. We are of a population of around 100,000 people, and we have a small revenue administration of around 400 personnel. And our mandate, of course, is to administer revenue laws and facilitating trade and securing borders. So we have both our tax and customs under one umbrella. And of course, our daily duties is all towards the higher purpose of becoming a modern and innovative revenue administration, while also helping Seychelles maintaining its socio-economic well-being. So we are sharing a journey today that goes beyond systems and procedures. So for us, our transformation program has not only been about the procedures, the technologies, but it's also been about reshaping our mindset and the people of SRC. So why was this necessary for us? We had some, we call it symptoms. You will see a diagram after that where we saw that we were lacking a bit in human capital management, and we had a lot of siloed system with regards to our IT platforms. So we had we have one system for tax and we have another for customs, and there are also a bit of issues with regards to fragmented systems or inaccuracies, and this was highly impacting on our decision making. And SRC also had an enforcement heavy image, meaning we were seen as a punisher rather than a partner of the public. So this is what I was saying, the symptoms. So we were seeing a lot of revenue leakage, illicit activities, as well as low employee morale. So to better understand our situation, which I feel is really important to note, when you see issues, or you cannot just say like the administration is having certain
Nisa,
problems.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but we have some comments that there is something, the gray box on the slide, so people
Which
cannot
one?
see all the parts. If you can fix it, could be great.
Oh, huh?
So it's a gray part covers.
This
Yeah,
one.
it's removed now, but it went to the left side. Yeah,
Good.
I think it's good.
I proceed?
It looks good. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, I was saying it is important to understand your situation before a reform. So this is when SRC, my slide is not working. Okay, to better understand the landscape of where we are, we had an organizational survey done across the whole organization, and we were proud to see that we had 78% completion of the survey, which is around 300 staff of SRC. So we can say that we had everyone's input because they also helped to give their opinions and different strategies and initiatives which could be implemented for the transformation program. So what we did was we used a business excellence model whereby we analyzed 12 different components of the organization, all the way from the mandate, the business strategy, even down to the way we implement change management within the organization. So with the results on the left, the current state, we saw that in yellow, meaning we had a lot of policies and procedures in place, but they were not necessarily being implemented to the best of our capabilities or not really meeting the highest international standards. And in red, we had human capital management, which showed that we were quite ineffective with managing our human resources. And this is what we want to be with regards to our desired state on all sections of the organization. We want to be green, meaning very effective. And I think this way of having a result from a survey as well is important when you want to convey information to your staff before you proceed with a reform program. So you're not really giving a lot of stats, you're telling a story from just an image. It's easily communicated as well. So for the design of the strategy, based on what we had from the survey, meaning the staff input, we took all the recommendations from international best practices. We took SRC's mandate, and it was all combined into a transformation roadmap. But it was based on 5 interventions: the policies, skills, oversight and governance, technology, and leadership and culture. This is because it was also the 5 main points which kept recurring. It was from the thematic analysis of the survey. It was recurring to see that these were areas where we were lacking. For example, if we were to look at mandate and strategy as the first component, we also had issues with lacking the proper systems or technology in place, such as a strategic management dashboard. So these were the interventions that we are to focus on. And another, I think, aspect that's gonna make SRC the success story is how we went about with the transformation from the beginning. Right when we had the results of the survey, we had a workshop where we brought together in one room every managers, directors, senior staff, and from the SRC into one room to address, you can say, burning issues. We can say that it did get a bit personal, even where we had to tell EXCO, our executive committee members upfront, what they were doing properly, what they were doing wrongly, and even the managers and directors in general. And also important to note here in the workshop, we had our strategic partners as well. We brought in the Ministry of Finance, we brought in UNDP, ATAF as well. So they were there from the beginning, understanding the purpose and the need for the transformation of SRC. And for example, having Ministry of Finance there, the staff was able to bring back to the minister what SRC plans to do and what resources. So like if, in the future, if we are going to request anything with regards to budget, they are already aware of the transformation program. So like I said, the workshop as well, the transformation, it brought around it came as a sense of a participatory design with having the workshop in place, as well as I call it making noise. When we were done with the workshop, we had what we called transformation roadshows. So we can confidently say that each and every staff of the organization is aware of the transformation program, because we went back to every staff when we had separate sessions where we were on the road from all the sections at Seaport, at the revenue offices, where we were telling them what the results of the survey were, what needs to be done, and how we're going to do it. There is clear ownership as well of the transformation roadmap, which you will see after, with clear timelines and KPIs. So this is just a snapshot of our transformation roadmap on what it looks like. So we have each of the sections, the components I was talking about, the scope of intervention needed, and it's also been prioritized with the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 being the highest priority, and the accountability as well as the time frame. For example, for client management, we had an intervention to develop a survey for the clients for feedback. It was priority, meaning it was to be done since last year, 2024, and we had the Office of the Deputy Commissioner General as the accountable office. And again, this has been done with 100% completion in 2024. What's also important to note in ensuring there's the high level vision and it's being brought down to further staff, the roadmap was further broken down into smaller action plans. So for each of these interventions that we saw on the previous slide, there's a separate action plan, and we have maybe I forgot to mention that as well. We have a transformation committee who's overseeing the whole program, and each person on the committee is responsible for a specific scope of intervention. So we have someone specifically overseeing the digital aspect of transformation and so forth. So just to conclude here a bit, SRC had what we call an old posture of being the distance enforcer, like I said in the beginning, and we are quite successfully working towards a new posture of being the public partner. So now we are more focused on our service delivery, on how we can facilitate ease of doing business for our taxpayers. So I will hand over to Julian to go more into the technological and digital part of the transformation.
Thank you, Nisa. Thank you, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon. Um, Part of the modernization journey SRC backed on, I believe, started in 2010. So in 2010, we decided to, after the creation of the Revenue Commission through the enactment of the SRC Act, two of the core systems that were in use, one was developed was the Client Management System, or CMS, for the tax division. And then we went on to use Acicuda++ for customs. As of 2013, we embarked on a journey to modernize customs. And this was when we moved to Acicuda World, bringing some of the many benefits that comes with it. In 2016, we embarked on the international tax. So we implemented the OECD automatic exchange of information. And part of that also, we started to digitize through a system. So version 1 of the AUI system, as we call it, was born. Now, come 2020, it was time to rethink about new transformation, new ways of doing it, and how to modernize the revenue administration further. So we decided to take the digital maturity level. Previous presenters have talked about tax administration 3.0 in depth, and some of the points that are raised are digital identity, taxpayer touch points, data management, tax rule management, new skill sets, and governance frameworks. So SRC had to assess itself and see where it lies, so to plan forward. Out of that, also, we decided to start with doing a digitalization strategy, which was aligned with our strategic plan for the 3 years, and develop the architecture that we aspire to see. And that would cover services. We would have the physical layer, as we say, the applications, the data layer, the core infrastructure that everything runs on, and as well, being a revenue administration, we cannot omit cybersecurity. As of now, we can say the majority of these applications and systems are well on the way, with a few niche covering emerging technologies which are in the pipeline. So come 2021, we shifted into major digital transformation. We decided to move away from the Department of ICT, which had the responsibility of overseeing our general infrastructure and some of the services, and chart our own way to take ownership of the systems. The Modernization and Reform Unit was also created to support SRC's modernization, and this unit would fall directly underneath the Deputy Commissioner General's office. For tax, this meant moving away from the client management system, which had served its purpose well, but to a more modern and efficient tax management system. This began with the process of process reengineering for tax division and the development of the core tax modules. In 2023, the customs implemented the REC system, which was deployed in July, and we had the integration of system administrators to fully take on board the majority of our infrastructure. And as well, in the spirit of sustainability, which was quite important, of our applications and systems, the Revenue Commission decided to open its own development team. In 2024, we embarked on quite a heavy enhancement of our current Ascuda version. Some of the modules that were deployed was the e-payment system module, the express courier. We had a module for e-manifest as well. And in 2025, we have the electronic gate out and the integration with the Port of Victoria Management Information System. As well, we have the enhancement of another enhancement of our Ascuda upgrade to 4.4. That also comes with the process reengineering. We have interagency meetings and mapping exercises done to harmonize the data and processes. We have quite another milestone project in the works, which is the data warehouse to consolidate, firstly, internal data sources, so from both tax systems and customs, as well as third parties that would coming in the following phases. We also have the client-facing side of our tax management system, since we're moving to a more client-centric tax administration. And we have the COMESA e-certificate of origin, which is in the testing phase. So some of the challenges that we've encountered, as mentioned by my colleague, were fragmented systems. We had some legacy platforms that limited integration. It had quite a bit of a challenge to do automation in there. But the approach that we took was to change the way development is done, even the systems that are procured, set up our standards in order to ensure that we have interoperability first within our mind. We also had a heavy dependency on external vendors. What we did to manage that was have a strong vendor management in process, emphasizing on accountability, strict reporting through our contracts, having service level agreements, doing proactive planning, procurement, and budget management. The other challenge we had was siloed workflows. This was to have internal service standards, and we also have set up a extensive project governance framework. And the other one was underutilizing of data. Now, to counter this, we had in place our data governance framework and also reviewing the structure on how we use data and from CG all the way down, putting heavy emphasis on having a data-driven approach. For skills gap, we conducted our training needs assessment and from then on have our comprehensive training plan that was developed. And for change resistance, we had to use change champions. And with the upcoming SRC-wide change management initiatives workshop that we'll be having, also setting up the other aspect of the project governance framework so that it trickles all the way down. And as said before, we had an issue with project governance, and we tackled that by setting up our comprehensive framework. Thank you.
Yes. So again, a few things which I feel was very important was the paradigm shift that especially the how management of SRC underwent with regards to the planning. Rather than having just saying we want to do something, we had evidence based for any strategy that we wanted to do. We knew the why and we wanted to know the how, so we had the roadmap in place. And with regards to the planning, again, with everyone in one room, we place much emphasis on the difference between operational thinking and strategic thinking, because something as big as a transformation program or a digital transformation requires the strategic mindset of everyone from senior level and above. There's also global and national alignment. So we can safely say that the SRC's plans, transformations are all aligned with national agendas with regards to being a modern and public service. There's also an agenda for digitalization with regards to Ministry of Finance and the country in general. There was also collaborative design with regards to annual plans, risk matrices. So with all the strategies, like he mentioned, the digital strategy, the transformation roadmap, it was not done in silo. We had everyone in discussion, everyone's input. We ensured that what Julian was doing with IT was relevant or also interconnected with what someone else was doing in another unit. So I will try to be brief with the rest because from what I understand, it's not the focus of the of the sessions for today. The role of leadership. The mandate for us actually came from the very top. I remember at the beginning, the Commissioner General, I, the chairperson, and the deputy chairperson, we also went to the cabinet, meaning the cabinet of ministers and the president, whereby we presented the plans to them and ensured that we had the necessary political buy-in for the success of the transformation program. We have now what we call a leadership passport. It's implemented to ensure that the people who are driving the digital transformation of SRC have the necessary capabilities to undertake the programs, as well as having peer-to-peer learning. This year, we went to South Africa, a group of us, and another group went to Zambia to better understand what they are doing and to learn from our peers. We also have what we call a decentralized leadership. So we have a narrative in SRC where you don't have to be a manager to be a leader. So we see anyone, it could be a business analyst, how do we call the functional teams? They are also leaders for the digital transformation program. And we also had succession through competence. The programs involve ensuring that the younger generations of the organization would be able to keep up with the transformation program, because we know this is not a 2 years program, 3 years program, even though our current roadmap is for 3 years, it's going to take much, much longer than that. So we have a next gen leaders program set up. Mr. Julian Sechi is also a next gen for SRC. So we are also capitalizing on the innovativeness as well as the strategic thinking of the younger pool of staff at SRC. So for effective project and change management, as mentioned, we have a project steering committee. So for every individual project under the digital transformation program, they also have a steering committee, and then we have another larger project steering committee that meets once a month, who oversees every single program or project being undertaken at SRC to ensure that the executive committee members are aware as well as having any input with regards to the program. We have the transformation committee, as mentioned, the next gen leaders, and also focusing on change adoption. Julian made mention of change champions. So to ensure that everyone had the buy-in or commitment and ownership to the program, we ensured that in every unit we had a person called a change champion who's helping us drive the transformation program. And also quite important is the monitoring and evaluation. We're guided by a proper set of KPIs and metrics, all which falls under the strategic plan of SRC. So basically, the official transformation program, out of the 1 year, we started in 2024 officially as the transformation program. We can say so far, these are what we've seen. We've successfully exceeded revenue collection target by 0.1%. We've improved the voluntary compliance rate by 10%, and we've been removed from EU and France's grey list for global tax transparency. And we've achieved a 76% improvement in the strategic planning processes, as well as a tax to GDP ratio of 30.43%. But for us, the main thing surrounding our transformation, our digital transformation, is a cultural shift. Every aspect that's been put into the program, such as the next gen, the strategic meetings, having everyone involved, has tended to have a cultural shift in SRC where officers say that they feel seen. We have a quote there from our newsletter of 1 year where staff said, for the first time, I feel seen, because they know that whatever SRC is doing now, it started from their input as the staff of SRC. So I will not go through this one because I think I've mentioned most of it. But again, important is a robust political backing. So ensuring that you have the endorsement at a very, very early stage, as well as the input of your stakeholders. So moving forward, since we're in a new strategic planning cycle, we have our strategic plan for next year to 2028. We've incorporated two specific objectives for the digital transformation, which is modernizing operations and driving digital transformation, as well as having a strategic objective specific for the human capital management. Because as we've seen from the beginning, we were quite ineffective in that, so there will be much focus on the next 3 years. And I think it's important because in such a project, there might be certain fear associated with these people thinking they will lose their job and stuff like that. So we want to ensure that we have a future-ready workforce and empower them as leaders. And we also have the narrative for our staff that we do not plan on making anyone redundant. So with our digital transformation program, it's all about reskilling or upskilling our staff. So just briefly on the short, medium term before we end.
So some of the short and medium term plans that we have cooking at SRC, we have an intranet system which we're building in order to facilitate communication and engagement with our staff. We've amended the laws to support electronic signature, e-filing, and incentivize online use of our portals. We have ongoing stabilization and technical enhancement of the current tax management system. We also have the gradual deployment on the client-side version of such the system. But also in parallel, we are always looking towards the future and what new things can we bring to our taxpayers. So this is where the enhancement and migration to a new architecture and new technology is coming in. As well as what I've mentioned before, we have the development of the data warehouse, which is currently one of the cornerstone projects in terms of IT going on. And we also have a case management system that we are piloting as well. And as well, we want to finalize the integration of all our internal systems to the data warehouse and eventually data from external sources as well. So we also have the automation of our strategic planning system, which my colleague has alluded to in previously, and a unified digital platform. So to incorporate our financial management, HR, and some of the tax operations that might spill over in other units. This is all in the goal of enhancing our processing time and providing a better service delivery. And finally, we want to launch our taxpayer portal and provide 24/7 digital platform for taxpayers to use, which is fast, reliable, and secure as well. So thank you.
That's it from us. Hopefully we didn't take much time and we are open to any questions or comments. I will stop sharing the screen now, just so.
Thank you so much. And you received some applauses from the audience. And thank you. Like you kind of covered some of the questions already. We've been talking about how important is motivation. And I really like that you have this champions, and this is kind of very nice to see it's working for the people to be like in charge and be to co-own the strategy. So they believe that they are doing this work together with you. There is some questions for you in the chat. So maybe you can start responding to those. The one of them is, given the digital transformation is inherently dynamic, what extent does your administration allow deviations from initial transformation plan, and how are such deviations reliant to ensure consistency with the overall strategy vision?
I'm trying to find the question, but I think I understand the question, but I think for us, what's different is we had deviations in the past in the sense that we were all over the place. So having a strategic plan and the transformation roadmap, we have everything we want to do in a systematic manner, but we do understand that none of this is set in stone. So we do our reviews quarterly. So if there is a need for any urgent request or urgent projects, we do have the time to actually sit and review the plans that we have and see where we can fit in or remanage our resources.
Another question is, do you use big data, AI, or ML technologies? And if so, which ones? Do you use open source as well? And don't hesitate to learn more about one open source technologies. And I think Oliver is suggesting some of the technologies they use, because I think I'm familiar with those, but you can read.
Let me see. This one, yeah.
Okay, in terms of machine learning, this is also part of the phase 3 of our data warehouse, which we'll be implementing. And on the essence of artificial intelligence, we have a pilot that has begun. Actually, I'm one of the persons leading the project to see the viability of using artificial intelligence in assisting staff when it comes to um, legislation, documents, and standard operating procedures that SRC has. So it basically becomes like a virtual assistant to internal staff. Eventually, we'll be incorporating some of the data from the data warehouse as well. And if all goes well, we'll be having it as an interactive chatbot on our website. So the general public can query instead of going through official channels such as having a call or sending an email and waiting. On the second part, with regards to whether we are planning to use open source or closed uh, softwares, that I would say we cannot give a recommendation, but we can say it depends on the scenario as well. We had the same situation recently when we were discussing about the technology part for our ETL, for our data warehouse. Um, but yeah, we had to take into context of the current administration, what are the pros and cons, and as well ensure sustainability. Because even though you go open source, you also have to think about giving back to the community and ensuring that you have the capacity in-house to also contribute back as well. So I hope I covered everything in your question.
So there is some other questions, and I think people already started to have a breakout room discussions, but I'm happy to have those. So if you can quickly answer these, and then we have to maybe move to the breakouts for people who registered and continue discussions. There is some questions about what is the strategic approach being used to finance the transformation program over the short and medium term, and also about the portal you use.
Okay. So I'll be lying if I say it's not a challenge with regards to financing the transformation program. SRC is a budget-dependent organization, so there is the national budget which we get our share of every year. But what's important, as I've mentioned before, is we've had the strategic partners with us from the beginning, such as when we had ATAF, UNDP, Ministry of Finance within the workshop, as well as with the development of the plans. So we do have a lot of help from the strategic partners from overseas, but we also do request from the Ministry of Finance, and having the transformation roadmap being specifically aligned to the national goals, showing them specifically how they will benefit the country in general, how will benefit from the program is key to ensuring that we secure the necessary funding for that. But what's also important for the revenue administration to note is to document your results, your matrices, your data, ensuring you have a proper case that you can put forward. So we are in constant communication with the Ministry of Finance, presenting them with monthly, quarterly reports, telling them how the money is being used and what we're gaining from there to ensure that in whether we need further funding in the future, we can request for that.
So for the portal, does it cover all taxes and services? Or the implementation is phased?
Yes, I can say for the portal, it covers registration of a taxpayer. Then it covers filing of most of the returns. Yeah. And as well as payment for that. And yes, the implementation is in phase. All right. And in terms of your next part about digital economy and mobile wallets as well. So Seychelles also has a digital economy agenda, which is headed by the Ministry of Finance and National Planning. And one of the key stakeholders there is SRC as well. So we are also align our strategic plan with the national digital economy agenda. So it all ties in perfectly. And in terms of mobile wallets, currently we have a few new stakeholders, especially as of this year, introducing some new technologies about mobile wallet, and it's on our radar through what we call a payment gateway to incorporate some of those mobile payment solutions in there as well. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. It was very interesting to hear how far you went with this short time period. You have only 1 year results, and it's already impressive. And yes, we will be now moving to the breakout rooms, and also we are behind of time, and we have to let our translators go because we don't have translation in the breakout rooms, as we have French, Spanish, and English speaking breakout rooms. And also this is the first workshop, and we will see if you prefer, maybe next time we will have some more time for Q&A, or if you prefer breakout rooms to work like more closely for the questions. But for now, I think the presentation part of the session is over, and the people who were registered and willing to join the breakout rooms, we will now start creating at least 4 groups, and we will have the same questions for you to open discussion. But you are all, of course, invited to bring your own questions if you have, and you can start brainstorming and talk about some issues or challenges or opportunities you might have. So we will create those 4 breakout groups, and you will be able to choose and decide by yourself. And please keep your documents, which we send to have these questions in English, in Spanish, and French. So you have this in your email we send. So you'll be able to open up when you go to the breakout. So I will take a pause now, and our team will create some breakout room so you can join and go directly to the breakout rooms. After that, it will be automatically closed. And then we go back to the main room to say some reflections and final words for the next session.
Thank you, Sophie. If I may, the Spanish breakout room was working very well, but we were just
Oh, okay.
starting actually. And we were having Alfredo's comments, but I don't know, Alfredo, if you would like to speak now in Spanish and bring your thoughts to the whole team.
Buen día con todos, no sé si me escuchan.
Sí, el problema es que no tenemos traducción. Tocaría en inglés.
Oh, eh, my English is no, no good. I could say anything about the idea. About the in Ecuador, the taxes administration have uh, many situations that do the no, it's difficult for me.
Or maybe what we can do, Alfredo, is you can write in Spanish in the chat and I will translate into English. I think it's
Okay.
very valuable to have your views. Thank you.
Sorry, Claudia, we have translation till 3 p.m. So if you can, if you can share your thoughts very quickly and they can translate. We have 15 minutes left, and then maybe we can wrap up. And also, I saw Wegard has some highlights from the breakout, and then this will be shared, and then we can wrap up the session.
Perfect. Alfredo, puedes hacer tu intervención en español y aquí van a interpretar, a traducir.
Perdón, Claudia, no te escuché lo último.
I'm
Que
sorry,
puedes
Claudia, I
hacer
couldn't hear what you
tu
said.
intervención en español porque todavía
Yes,
tenemos a los
you can
intérpretes y
speak
ellos van
Spanish. We still
a
have
traducir a
interpretation,
inglés
and the
y francés.
interpreters
Perfecto.
can
Te
interpret
agradezco
into
mucho.
English and French, but we can't hear
Bueno,
Alfredo very
un
well.
poco lo que
Could he move
comentaba
closer
yo
to his
es que
microphone
como
or turn his
administraciones
camera on?
tributarias,
What our
nosotros
breakout
tenemos
group
una
said
ventaja
that as
respecto a
tax
otro tipo de
administrations, we
instituciones,
have an asset compared
porque
to
nosotros
other
estamos
public
adaptados al
institutions.
cambio, ya
We are
que
used
nuestra
to
gestión va
adjusting to
relacionada con
change,
cómo va
and our
cambiando la
management has to
economía,
do with
cómo
how
va
the
cambiando la
economy
forma de hacer negocios,
changes
van
and
apareciendo nuevas
how the
formas de
way we
pago,
do
van
business
apareciendo
changes,
nuevas
how
formas de
different
transaccionar.
payment methods
Y a
appear,
nuestra
and different
gestión le
transactions come up.
resulta necesario ir adaptándose a todos estos cambios, ¿no?
Our
Entonces, en ese
management and
sentido,
administration has to
creo
constantly adjust
que
to all of these changes.
uno de los
In
grandes
this sense,
retos
I believe that one of
nuestros
the biggest
sí va en
challenges
esa adaptación a los
we
temas
have
nuevos que van generándose desde el punto de vista
is
tecnológico, como el tema
adapting
de
to
la
these new
inteligencia artificial.
technological changes such as
Un poco
artificial
retomando
intelligence.
algún ejemplo de lo que ha
And
sido un reto para
I'd
unas
like to return
administraciones
to an
tributarias, ha sido
example
la
of a
unión de
challenge that
silos, por
some
decirlo de
tax
alguna manera,
administrations have
la
had,
unión
which
de
is
distintos
to
procesos,
uh,
de distintas
break down
estructuras que se van
silos and
manejando,
join
a veces
processes
de
and
manera separada y
structures and break
necesitamos
down these
unirlas para poder
silos
explotar de una
or
mejor manera la
action that is
información.
usually done in isolation
Y
and
eso
provide this
ha sido
joint
todo un reto y
perspective
posiblemente ahora
or a
ya hay
cross-cutting
nuevas
vision.
formas de
And this
hacer
has
las
been
cosas, ya que
a
la
challenge
inteligencia
because
artificial nos
we know
permite
that
ir
there are new ways
sumando
of going
o
around this.
facilitando
Artificial
esfuerzos
intelligence
para
means
realmente
facilitating our
dedicar nuestra
job
gestión a lo que nos
and
interesa.
allowing us to focus on
Un poco
what is most
algo que se
interesting
conversa
for
desde
us.
el punto de vista interno en
Something
la administración tributaria de Ecuador
that is
es
discussed
que
in the
los recursos podrían estar
Ecuadorian
mucho
tax
mejor enfocados a
administration
la
is
gestión
that
tributaria
resources
y
could be
muchas veces
better
procesos
focused on
operativos. Voy a poner un
tax
ejemplo del
management
proceso de
because sometimes
devoluciones
operational
por ponerles una
processes
idea.
such as tax returns,
Tiene
just to
una gran
give you an
cantidad de
idea,
personal
uh,
porque hay un
means
conjunto de
having a lot of
procesos
staff working
repetitivos
on
de
it because there
revisión
are different,
que toman un tiempo
very
considerable. Es decir,
repetitive
necesitamos dentro del personal
checking processes, and that is time
recursos para esta
consuming.
gestión.
And we often
Entonces,
need
la idea es
extra staff
to do this. The idea is to be able to connect these automatic processes with our day-to-day tasks to make all of this more seamless and straightforward and automatic, and redirect our staff towards what we believe is the heart of our mission and what is fundamental for our strategies. That was one of the first ideas, and I think it's important to consider that our management needs to be aligned with the issue of technological changes, which is an increasingly radical change. And the next few years, we need to focus on designing a strategy that will allow us to align our management on these new technologies. That was the general overview, and that means that we can tease out future strategies for tax administrations in general.
Gracias, Alfredo.
Thank you,
Back
Alfredo.
to you, Sophie.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing. And I see also Camila is sharing her thoughts in the chat that this is important to have promoting digital programs and skills to be developed, and sharing own experience from internal revenue of Chile. If there is any more comments, and I think next time we will take some time to think about how it could work better, because I saw some people were confused about the changing the rooms and they stayed in the same room. So apologies for the confusion, and next time maybe we will keep some time for open discussion, and we'll see how can we better have like more time for breakouts, or like more straightforward rules to join the breakouts. If there is any other comments and questions, we have still more 10 minutes, or other than that, I will close the session for today. We are quite a bit like with 20 minutes delay because we had this presentation session longer. So Claudia wants to add something.
Yes, thank you. Just quickly, as we were not able to get your views during the breakout sessions, I would like to kindly invite you to send your comments by email if you want to respond to the questions that were meant to be discussed in the breakout groups. That would be, I think, very valuable for the work that Sophie will continue with the guide.
Yes, absolutely. And also you're welcome to send your comments about the first chapter, and also like you just suggested, Camila, some of the topics you want to be elaborated in a way, so we can add some more content about the skill sets. We have some separate chapter for this. Not the chapter, but it's included in some chapters. And you're welcome to suggest any ideas and topics you want to hear more. And also, you're very welcome to present during the workshops if you think your tax administration has some good not only the success story, but also lessons learned could be valuable for others to share. So we welcome you and see you for the next workshop. Thank you so much for everyone. And yeah, have a good day.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank
you
you.
very much.
Bye bye.